have that clip
Yes,
from
sir. We
Eddie
got
Glaude?
both clips.
Okay, let's start
sir.
with, I tell you what, let's skip Eddie Glaude. Let's go straight to Dr. Ricky Jones, political scientist.
Yeah,
Can we go straight
sir.
to him?
Yes, sir. Brother Deontay, we ready for Brother Ricky Jones. He's a professor from Louisville University. He was talking at a church forum. They were trying to have a discussion about what do we do after the election. So that's what my brother's dropping. So let's hear that.
Well, Dr. Jones, first off, I'm excited to have you here. And I asked you a question before the program started. I said, were you surprised by Tuesday's results? And your answer to me was surprising. What did you say?
No, I wasn't surprised at all.
No, you said something else.
I was happy.
Wow. So take it from there, Dr. Jones.
All you. And I was happy for different reasons than Trump supporters. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm not a Trump supporter. Mm-hmm. But I was happy because I understand the history of our people. I understand our current condition. Look, I think God has been trying to give black people a message.
Yeah.
And black people have refused to listen. God has sent black people messengers. Black people have refused to listen. If you talk about serious black intellectuals in this country, serious black thinkers, serious black political scientists and historians and sociologists, serious black ministers, we've been telling black folk for years what's going on. But black people are hope addicts.
Ooh, say that again. Woo! That's a hashtag.
Hope addicts.
Yes.
Black people are hope addicts. And as Toni Morrison said, a very real consequence of racism is it distracts you.
Yeah.
And black people are subject to distractions very easily. If Kamala Harris had won, and let me say this and it'll upset you, a person who, if you study, remember, I'm a political scientist, been studying politics every day of my life for almost 40 years now.
Wow.
If you look at the sister's record, there is no consistent commitment to black people. That's just the reality. And I know some folks, like when she went to Howard, she's an AKA, all of this stuff, there has been no consistent commitment to black people. There's certainly been political opportunism, there's been shifting of positions, all of these things. But that, and all the politicians do that, I understand that. So black people are also very prone to making excuses for black people who have not been committed to them. All that said, she certainly was better than the other person, the guy on the other side, because he's a madman. A committed white supremacist that's pretty much in the open, committed fascist if you study what fascism is, all of these things. But my concern, I said it before the election, the greatest concern is not that you can make a viable comparison of Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, Mobutu, all of these people. It's very real that you can make a viable comparison of 21st century America to 20th century Germany right after World War I.
Wow.
So there's all this talk about what Donald Trump has done. This isn't about Donald Trump, right? Hitler didn't con the Germans. They supported him.
Whoa.
Donald Trump has not conned white America. They simply support him. And this was a brazen example, brazen proof to black folk that this is what America is. If Kamala Harris had won, you would have been subjected to more distractions. White supremacy would still exist. They still be coming at black people in myriad ways, but black people who are hope addicts would have did the same thing you did in 2008 when Barack Obama won. I saw black people in 2008 because Barack Obama won. Black people say, oh, racism is dead. This proves we can do anything we want to do. We're now in a post-racial America. And the very next year, the Tea Party hit. The very next year, basically neo-Ku Klux Klan ideology started to take hold in this country more and more openly. White people are becoming more aggressive. I have one constituency, one. Black people. And I was told at the University of Louisville, we can't let you be the diversity officer. The word is that you only care about black folk. This is true. It's not that I wish anybody else any harm, but I very openly care about my people because so few others do.
Wow.
All this black-brown coalition y'all been on, Hispanics have let you know with their votes. All this white women are on our side, they've let you know with their votes. All this is getting better, and I think white America is learning after 2020. They've let you know with their votes. So if you would have had Kamala Harris, black people would have had another excuse to not fight back because you would think things are getting better. So I know you're in pain right now, but you shouldn't be. You should be encouraged that we may be at a moment now where black people will finally unite, turn around, fight back.
Wow. Let me just say this. I was getting too anxious watching the results, and so Wednesday morning I go on my phone, and when I saw that he won, one of the things that bothered me the most was my daughter came in the room because she was very invested in this race, and she was like, what happened? What happened? Who's the president? She's 10 years old, and I was crying by then. And when I told her, she started crying and saying that she doesn't want to be treated differently because she's black. A 10-year-old has that foresight, knowing that with him being the president, racial relations are going to be going back. And so what do you speak to that fear that we're going to be going back to those days, the 2016?
No, Walt. America was exactly what it was on November 6th, the day after the election, as it was on November 4th, the day before the election. Stop lying to your children. Because when you lie to your children or lie to yourselves and give yourselves false hope, you send your children into a white supremacist world unarmed. You owe them better than that. My child didn't cry at all. Did y'all really believe that white America was going to come out and vote for a black woman? No matter how milquetoast that black woman might be. Did you really believe that? They would have voted for the devil himself before they did. In effect, they did. So there was a time when Marcus Garvey would bring the Ku Klux Klan into UNIA meetings and say, tell my people exactly what you feel about them so they can know and they can't make excuses, right? Martin Luther King Jr. went down to Albany, Georgia in 1961, but Lori Pritchett was a softer, smarter sheriff, and he handled things in a more complex way. And King and his people knew that they had to go to Birmingham where they run into a Bull Connor who would be more overt with his racism. So King knew then our people can see exactly what's happening here. Black people didn't want to fight back in the 50s. And then they killed Emmett Till, and it turned everything around. Vernon Johns was rejected in Montgomery because folks thought that he was too radical. King came to pastor his church. And then Emmett Till was killed. That started the civil rights movement. So please wake up. Take inventory where you are. If you are happy in Louisville, black folk, ain't nothing for you to do. If you cool with your situation of powerlessness, ain't nothing for you to do. But if I come tell you how they're treating our children and our people at the University of Louisville, for example, that they're taking scholarships that used to be set aside for black children and they no longer can be set aside for black children. Listen to me. If I tell you they're losing black faculty to teach our children and they don't care nothing about building that back up, listen to me. If I tell you there's a diversity office headed by a black man who is giving marching orders to his people to never specifically mention black people, listen to me. And if you don't want to listen to that, then continue to do what you do, ignore what's happening to black folk there, and go cheer for University of Louisville basketball. And go cheer for football. And the white folks will say, these Negroes are not a threat. So take Tuesday. So it's not just about U of L. Stop following black politicians who do not have the heart or the inclination to fight for you, right? You're not just tolerating them, you're celebrating them. So if that's where you are here in Louisville, then be there and be happy with it. But don't lie to yourself and don't lie to your children. Get some heart, fight back, because at this point, if you haven't gotten the message that God has given you, I don't know what will make you get it. So no, I wasn't sad, I wasn't surprised. I was happy that maybe we have another historical moment where our people will understand that all we got is us, and if we don't organize, strategize, and fight back, we're done, for our children's sake.
So I know that is, well, and wow, just hearing it, I mean, it brings it back full circle to what we need to do as a people. But I'm asking you, Dr. Jones, what now? How can we do this? What's next for us? What can we do? What can we do?
I've been in this town for 28 years and been writing for all 28 of them. Go read some of the stuff I've written. Everybody keeps saying, well, what do we do? I've been telling you for 28 years. I get tired of repeating myself. Revolutionaries read. Start there. Okay, start there. Maybe we need to sit down and have some sessions. If you really want to fight back, some extended sessions where we can stop submitting to serving and entertaining white folk and getting upset when they disrespect us and being afraid to tell them exactly what they're doing. And if you're a white person watching this and this don't apply to you, great. Welcome to the party. And to black folk who've been making excuses for themselves to not fight for black men, black women, and black children, welcome to the party. And if not, just admit that you're a coward, step aside and let the real black folks sit here and do something. Because Kamala Harris wasn't going to save you. And so now you're not going to be distracted into thinking that she was.
Listen, we're almost out of time. Let me ask you this question real quick. I saw on social media that someone was explaining how already we're beginning to see what this presidency will bring, and some people that actually voted for him is going to be impacted. Talk about the tariffs, though. A lot of people are talking about the tariffs and how a lot of the supporters thought that the tariffs was going to be something other countries paid. It's going to impact small businesses.
I don't care. Right? I don't care. That's another distraction. Listen to what white folks are saying from MSNBC to CNN. It ain't just Fox. They want to talk about the economy. Oh, this was about the economy. Folks are voting for the economy. No, this was another reaffirmation of white supremacy. I'm not getting pulled into any talk about no tariffs. I don't care if that whole thing falls apart. Right? Y'all cannot be distracted by that foolishness. Ain't nobody saying that what this was about was white supremacy. It's just like in this state, this anti-diversity movement in the 8th whitest state in the country. White people have already won. What do they have to fight for? About anti-diversity. When they start talking about DEI, I'm like, no, I'm not talking about that with you. I'm talking about white supremacy with you. When they start talking, well, let's talk about the tariffs. No, let's talk about your racism. Don't get distracted. So I don't care what the tariffs do. I don't care if they deport all of these people. That's not my concern. I care about me and mine, and y'all are mine. Listen to God.
That's definitely a drop the mic moment. None other than Dr. Ricky Jones, and that's why our pastor wanted him to come today.
And listen to our pastor. He's been telling you too.
Well, Ricky, then talk about, but you did say something, though, that we
Crystal, we out of time.
I know, but listen.
We out of time.
Listen, you was a special guest brought in from Rev. I think we got a little, just one more. You talked about how we are all we have. Talk about how black organizations and institutions like the black church are so important.
Look, you got to build black institutions, right? This is all about black power. It's what it's really about. You got to have a conception of black power. As you sit here in one of the 250 largest cities in the country, they ain't never had a black mayor. Never had a black, Hispanic, or female mayor. Here in Louisville, Kentucky, and everybody's sitting back waiting. You got to understand where and what we are. So build Simmons. Simmons really is the best hope for black education moving forward in this city. Y'all gotta remember, I didn't go to Simmons. I'm a Morehouse man. I believe in black schools. I believe in black churches. I believe in black people. But let me qualify it. I believe in strong dedicated black people. I do not believe in black people who are more concerned about individual positions than they are about collective power. So when I say take inventory of your educational leaders, the black ones. Take inventory of your black preachers. Take inventory of your black politicians. And some of them just might need to go. If you want to change. Now, like my grandmama said, she said, it seems to me that the white folks and the black folks in Louisville and in Kentucky is happy. Who is you, boy, to tell them that they ain't supposed to be? Now, if my grandmother is right, y'all are done.
Go ahead.
All right. Okay.
Go ahead, Brother Ricky.
Woo.
That was fire, brother.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother BJ. I thought you got something to say, man. Say it.
Oh, brother. I mean, I know, Brother James, I know you hadn't heard it yet. I'd like to hear what you got to say first before we chime in here, brother.
Well, as somebody kept saying on the video, on the audio, that was a drop the mic moment. I mean,
right.
I was envisioning the minister sitting there listening to the brother. The minister would have been saying, "Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead."
I mean, he was saying things most folks don't want to talk about.
Right.
He's right, in my opinion. You know, the distractions. That's what this is all about. It's about the distractions, the video games, the social media, the sports and play, all of that to keep your eyes
yes, sir.
eyes, as they used to say. So that's my comment, brother. I
was going to agree with you, brother James, because we need 1,000 Ricky Joneses, because what he talked about is and the way he said it was so controversial. If you say that amongst black people today, they would probably blackball you. But that's the type of language and the kind of talk that we need in every corner, nook and cranny of the black community. You know, so This is where the rubber hit the road right here, brother. You're going to have if you love your people and you're not afraid to be rejected by them for the sake of truth, that's the kind of talk that we need in the black community today. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, you know, brother BJ, I don't think he would be rejected.
Wow.
You heard the people in the audience? Did anybody boo him?
No, they was with him.
Now, because now it's the day after. And now a lot of people are fed up.
Yeah.
Black women was trending on Twitter after the recent political events, saying, "Don't call me about nothing. I'm going to worry about me, and I'm going to worry about mine." They had a women's march, quote unquote. Ain't nobody show up.
Right.
So, the question I want to ask, and brothers and sisters, please call in 773-591-1690. Is hope as an addiction? What is that? What is that? We know that a drug is something that gives you a false sense of reality. It lifts you up. But if it's like an illicit drug, it allows you to escape from reality, but it doesn't resolve your reality. It allows you to deal with things on a certain level, but it doesn't give you the power to change those things. And hope is that which inspires you, that makes you consider possibility, that makes you consider change, that makes you consider looking toward the future and not stuck in the present. But brothers and sisters, what happens when you have a hope addiction in white people now? Because that's the addiction. For almost 500 years, almost 500 years. And you get a little of this, and there's always a backlash to show you what this country was about. And they don't want to admit that everything that happened was about race. They don't want to deal with that, but it was. It absolutely was, and we've been saying it And I've been writing about it, and we've been saying it, and we've been dealing with it because we know that is the truth.
That's right.
So we need something beyond, brothers and sisters. At what point do we let these people go? And go for self in terms of our own thinking and our own interests. Nobody wanted to talk about race as a fact. Nobody. Because they were afraid of offending certain people. White people. But it was all right there, right in front of you. All you had to do was look and listen. So what do we do now? I think we do like the brother said. We listen to the voice of God and those men and women that he has sent to us, telling us what? The first thing he said was unite.
That's right.
Unite and do something for yourself. I don't know if I heard too many Asians crying lately. Why is that? Because they see politics as a tool, but they know it's their unity and what they can do for themselves that will impact their lives. And what they can do with money and their collective power can then impact politics. So we could argue there's a place for politics, but we cannot put our faith in the temporal politics of a dying world. You can't see this country's dying, unraveling before your eyes. No national consensus on what's important. People calling each other political enemies now. Enemies. Traitors. You're destroying the country. You don't love the country. You hate the country. You're an enemy of the country. This is what people are saying. I talked to a sister today, brother, and it kind of hurt me. She asked me a question about some of the recent events. And she said there are families that are being split because of how they voted. Families.
Wow.
So how do we let a process that was never intended for us to benefit from, and we saved democracy in 2020, right? What did we get for that? Because it seemed to me when you save democracy, you should be a pretty important constituent.
Right.
And if the game of politics is who gets what, we should have gotten something. What did I'm saying specifically for black folks? Well, you know, the poverty for black children dropped to historic levels. Yeah. And then when they stopped that legislation and that aid, guess what? Black child poverty went straight up. Don't take my word for it. Google it.
Yeah.
Google it. Black unemployment. I just looked up some stats the other day. It's still 2-1. More blacks have been employed than ever before. Yeah. But we're most likely to be, or more likely than whites, to be employed with jobs that have no benefits. You hear me?
Right.
No pensions. And we're still underpaid. Do you know that white folks make about a third more than you do just because they're white? Do you know that the average white high school graduate makes more? What makes more or about the same as the average black college graduate? Are you listening? Are you watching? And how can you have hope in that which has no hope in you and don't care about your future, only cares about using you? So what do? We listen to those voices. We unite. We separate. What do you mean? We said, first of all, come out of the mindset of the oppressor. Get a good brainwashing. Get all that white supremacy washed out your brain. So you can think and so you can think clearly. And be prepared now to suffer and sacrifice some. Not for white folks, but for your own.
Right.
Building something of your own. We get trillions of dollars out of this economy. We can do better with it. Even if we got just a couple billion out of this economy that we targeted to our communities. You don't think that would help in some way? We couldn't be no worse off. When I look at the streets of Chicago with the boarded up buildings, storefronts abandoned, houses falling down inside of themselves, black people sleeping on the street and being run out, no compassion. But your hope addiction got you continually looking to the one that caused you all the pain since we've been here. And now we're suffering because we refuse to hear the voice of God saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins and or what? Her plagues.
Plagues.
So America's in deep trouble.
Right.
Again, they wonder if the country can exist. So they got through this election. Okay. But do you know, brothers and sisters, that millions of people in this country, millions, and the most armed country in the world, the most armed country, I'm talking about civilian arms,
right,
in the world, millions of them believe that the country is headed for civil war and civil unrest. This is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us would happen. This is what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan warned us would happen. So like our brother said, in this moment, we should see it clearly as an opportunity. And not just an opportunity, but we must now move quickly and committedly. I tell you this, we ain't never tried unity like we tried getting along with white folks. Now you show me where we have. Show me where we have now. Show me where we got beat down in the streets because we was trying to unify with one another. Show me that. And I want to get to one thing that was also in the final call because I read it and man, I got to deal with this. So this is an article on page 4. Black activists and leaders convene post-election town hall in D.C. This was written by Sister Nisa Islam Muhammad. I'm going to read you one quote. So this was different people. It was sponsored by the Institute of the Black World 21st Century. It included people like Melina Abdullah, National Director of Black Lives Matter Grassroots. She also ran for vice president with the intellectual Cornel West. Dr. Julianne Malveaux was there. And some people from the Working Families Party were there. And Mark Moriel of the National Urban League was there. So the article quotes Mr. Moriel of the National Urban League is saying, I spent time in Detroit in 10 barbershops, Atlanta, North Carolina, Philadelphia, knocking on doors, speaking to people in the community. What I was struck by is this is nothing new. It's the lack of enthusiasm and faith that any electoral victory can change the economic conditions and social conditions of our community, said Mr. Moriel. I'm not going to suggest that this is a widespread view in Black America. I think you better do a good poll of Black America, Mr. Moriel. He says, I'm not going to suggest that this is a widespread view in Black America, but it's significant enough that people have lost confidence. And it's a bit of depression. It's a bit of dejection, and it is very, very real. I will tell you, we have to not just discuss it from a diagnostic point of view, but we have to discuss it from the point of view of how we can begin to address it, said Mr. Moriel. Mr. Moriel, how long are you going to keep saying the same thing, you and others? And you're talking about seeking a solution, but you won't invite Farrakhan to the meeting because the enemy told you and others to condemn him, and you did. So you're talking about solutions, but you want to keep going around the same people, talking the same stuff. You don't want to get deep in the black. You don't want to say, let's separate from the enemy. So, brothers and sisters, look, you can do whatever you want, man. It's your choice. It's your choice. You can believe whatever you want to believe. But we are telling you by Allah's grace, Hope Addiction. You know, like the doctor, political science said, after Obama won, people were saying racism's there, we can do whatever we want. Yeah, that sounded nice in a speech, but it wasn't reality. Because as he said, there was a straight white backlash and hatred of Mr. Obama who did nothing against white people. Do you realize that? Nothing. He would not even talk about race, let alone lecture white people. He would lecture black folk about being better. Get off your telling people at the NAACP, take off your bedroom slippers and put on your marching shoes. Man, this group been marching for our people forever. What an insulting way to speak. He went to Morehouse and talked about we need to be more responsible, we need to do this and do that. Mr. Obama, do you know who you was talking to? This is Morehouse. You got generations of black men who have gone there. And even for the poor ones that's going to college for the first time, the first one in their families to go from high school to college like I was in mine. You think them young men got there by being irresponsible? You think they got there by being careless? But see, this is what as Dr. Ricky Jones said, it's supposed to be your people. This is what they say about you. And they're scared to confront the enemy. So how can you have hope in that? Why should you have hope in that when you got a man and a body of knowledge, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings, life-giving teachings, Minister Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam? I just saw something, brothers. You know, we do these Saviors tours where the FOI fly into one city from around the country and they flood the community with love. And if you would see how the people respond, how happy they are. Well, they're only there for a couple of days, yeah, but that gives real hope because they see men and boys whose lives have been changed. They see a commitment and they see a love. You better put your hope in that and stop putting your hope in the devil, who we love because he gives us nothing. 773-591-1690. Brother BJ is going to take us to the top of the hour, and we got Brother Brian standing by to talk about the international scene. But if you want to comment on this, call in. We'll take your call.
Yes,
Go ahead, brother BJ.
All right, so brothers and sisters, y'all can connect with us and support this program. If you like the content that you're hearing, we bring it to you every Tuesday night from 9 until midnight, and keep the love light burning right here on WVON 1690. Go to our website, straightwords.com. Straightwords.com is our website, and you can find out how to donate, make a monetary donation. Brother Naba'a standing by with the text line, and you can communicate with him right now as we speak, as we go out to the break. 312-480-9775. 312-480-9775. You are listening to Straight Words on WVON 1690, the talk of Chicago. Don't go anywhere. Our third hour is coming up right here on WVON Chicago.
The talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.